and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to another live show on the channel discussing all the latest Manchester United news, transfer news, and a lot of news going on around the football world, how it's going to affect Manchester United and all of that. And look, I know there's international games on right now, but do you know what I feel about the international break? I don't give a shit about international football. If it's not the Euros, if it's not the World Cup, I don't give a crap. I'd rather be live talking about the team I do give a crap about, Manchester bloody United. And I tell you what, we've got a packed show. Because there's a lot to talk about in terms of the Newcastle takeover that's actually gone through, guys. And I've saw some really, really interesting live chats. I was reading the live chats just before I went live, and a lot of you guys made some really, really interesting points. So I'm going to read out a couple of these live chats and stuff. And I think one of the talking points of today's video is about really how is this Newcastle takeover actually going to affect Manchester United, because you've got Chelsea, Newcastle, and Manchester City as the three rich fucking horses in the Premier League now. Obviously, it's going to take a couple of years for Newcastle to get up to the level of Manchester City and Chelsea. It's not going to happen overnight. You know, they're going to rebuild. But I want to talk about this in depth because, you know what, under the GLAZER ownership, Manchester United long-term could be fucked. We could be fucked because the Premier League is the most competitive league in the world. And with Newcastle being brought, you know, they could have brought Barcelona, they could have brought Real Madrid. They brought Newcastle. The Premier League is where it's at right now. It's going to be the top seven of the richest clubs in football, all in one league. And, you know, you've got teams like Aston Villa, teams like Leicester that want to get into the top six. You've got teams like Wolves that got good owners as well. And, you know, long-term, Man United under the GLAZER ownership, I think, are going to find themselves in trouble. So one of the talking points of today's show is actually giving you my thoughts on the Newcastle takeover, what I actually think of it, but then actually talk about what's this going to do to Manchester United long-term. You know, if we're with the Glazers and they've got these Saudi owners, are we going to be a club that just hoping for fourth spot because the three other clubs in the Premier League are much richer than us? Or do the Glazers actually need to get into their pockets and invest? You know, could this drive the Glazers out of the club? There's so much to talk about, so I will be talking about that. So do smash a like on the video, by the way. Of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're not subscribed to the channel for daily Manchester United news updates. I'm going to be live every other night throughout the international break to keep you up to date. Unless breaking news happens, then I'll be live right away. But January transfer window approaching, so I will get into some transfer news and stuff. We will get into international break gossip and all that. I don't know if anyone's watching international football, so if any Man United players score, let me know in the chat. Fred and Cavani are out for the Leicester game. No Fred for the Leicester game, so probably going to be Pogba and McTominay. Hopefully Pogba and MATIC versus Leicester, or maybe MATIC and Donny, but no Fred versus Leicester. And you know what? I think it's ridiculously stupid that Brazil versus Uruguay is one day before the Premier League. And I think in terms of South American scheduling, an absolute joke. If I was a Liverpool fan, I'd be fuming. I'd lose Fabinho, I'd lose Firmino, I'd lose Alisson. As a Man United fan, I don't really care that we're losing Fred. Cavani a bigger miss, but we got Ronaldo. I couldn't give a shit that Fred is going to be out, to be fair. I will do a rant about the international break. I was on All for United channel earlier. We're talking about why the international break is pointless. Because I have to say this now, before I get into talking about today's video. 3 games into the Premier League season, we have an international break. Then 4 games later, we have an international break. And then in a month's time, we have another international break. So we 10 games into the season, we would have had 3 international breaks and 3 2-week break periods. When we need to get the Premier League going in full flow, and I absolutely can't stand these international breaks, guys. And if you hate the international break, if you think this England versus Andorra game is absolutely fucking pointless, smash a like on the video, because you know what, I was saying this in the All for United stream earlier. Why don't they just make more international groups and make them smaller so you have less international games? Because these players aren't robots. You know. They literally get 2 weeks break all year. You know, loads of Premier League games, international game. The players aren't robots. Let's have less international games, less international breaks, and more football. Because you know what? Although the Manchester United fixture list, we are probably doomed long term. I'm very, very excited for the future of the fixtures to come for Manchester United. But I want to get on to topic of the video because I just rambled for 4.5 minutes. So smash a like, smash a subscribe. This guy said that obviously the Newcastle is threatening to be top of the EPL team, having the richest owners in the world, and we are doomed to not winning trophies. And one of the talking points I've got for you guys, and one of the things I wanted to throw out in the chat is, do you think Newcastle could win the Premier League before Manchester United? Have a think. Let me know down below. Do you think Newcastle could win the Premier League before Manchester United? Because you know, Newcastle got getting a lot of money, and in 5 years' time, they could very well easily be on top of Manchester United, especially with the Glazers, with their owners. One thing about the Newcastle owners, if you don't understand how rich they are, if you added the other 19 Premier League owners' money on top of each other, they still wouldn't be as rich as Newcastle. Newcastle are richer than every other team in the league. That is how stupidly rich Newcastle are. And I was discussing this earlier. If Man United don't win the Premier League this season, or we don't win a trophy this season, we risk losing Pogba, we're probably going to lose Donny, and Matic is going to retire, and Cavani's going to go, and Martial's going to go, and Lingard's going to go. We are at risk of losing 6 key first-team players this summer. Lingard, Martial, Cavani, Matic, Pogba, and Donny. 6 key players all at risk leaving this summer. So we go into next summer looking for a rebuild, even though we're coming to the end of our so-called rebuild. So I actually look at this long term and I go, this is Man United's best chance to win a trophy this year, because this is the strongest squad we'd have in years. Because if we lose Matic, if we lose Pogba, if we lose Donny, if we lose Martial, if we lose Cavani, we're looking at Haaland, but also 3 other midfielders, and we know the Glazers won't do that. We know the Glazers won't do that. And then we'll say it's a 2-year process to rebuild. And then in 2 years' time, the Newcastle squad could be stronger than ours, and that's just another team to compete with, not just Chelsea and Man City, but Newcastle, but Liverpool. And you've also got to remember, one of Man United or Liverpool will drop out the top 4 with this Newcastle takeover, guys. And my question is, could Newcastle win the Premier League before Manchester United? Because if United don't win the Premier League this year, and if Ole's still Manchester United manager and he's still playing McFred, we're not going to win the Premier League. And if he still plays McFred, then Donny's going to go, who's probably better than McFred. Then Pogba's going to go. Matic's obviously going to retire. If we don't win enough trophies, players like Ronaldo and Varane will want to leave. You know, will Man United win a Premier League in the next 5 years, guys? You know, we're giving Ole and we're giving all the coaches around Ole new contracts, and I will talk about that. We have an absolutely disastrous fixture list ahead, and this is the month. If Ole Solskjaer is going to get sacked, it's going to be end of November because of the fixtures we have in October and November. But yet the Glazers, just before these disgusting fixtures we've got Atalanta twice, Liverpool, Leicester, Spurs, Manchester City. We've got loads of hard fixtures, and the Glazers, before these hard fixtures, are giving Ole and all his staff new contracts at Manchester United. When, you know what, if we come out of these fixtures not looking on track for top 4, they're going to have to sack them all, which is an absolute disgrace. But will Ole Gunnar Solskjaer win a Premier League at Manchester United this season? The majority of you guys say no. I don't think we're going to win a Premier League this season. But every year that goes on, Newcastle getting stronger and stronger, and they're one more team to compete with. And since City's been taken over, we haven't been able to compete with City for Premier Leagues. We haven't been able to compete with Chelsea. We won't be able to compete with Liverpool, but not Liverpool maybe, depending on. But we won't be able to compete with Newcastle because they're going to have so much more money than us. And we could be sitting here in 10 years' time, and Newcastle could have won 3 Premier Leagues in a row. We could be sitting here in 10 years' time going, we're nearly Liverpool. We've nearly gone 20 years without a Premier League. And that's why, for me, as a Man United fan, I would love the Glazers to go sack Ole, go nick Erik ten Hag, go sign a DM in January and go, this is our year to win the Premier League. Because every year the Premier League is going to get stronger and stronger and harder. And we don't want to turn into Liverpool. I would love Ole to get the boot so we can keep the likes of Donny, keep the likes of Pogba, go for Kessie in January and go for that Premier League. Because it's not too late. We're 2 points off the top of the league. But if this McFred shit continues, if Ole's manager, I think the Premier League's gone. I think next season will be even worse than we are this season because we're going to lose Pogba, Donny, Lingard, Martial, Cavani, potentially. We're not 100% going to lose them. Donny, I think, is definitely going. And we're stuck with McFred for another season. And then we're stuck with McFred for the season after that. And, you know, this team is carrying McFred. You know, these good attackers are carrying McFred. If our attackers don't perform, McFred won't be carried. We'll be the next Arsenal. I don't want to be negative about it, but that's the way I see it. And I'm going to talk about the Newcastle takeover and stuff. As Britt said, that immediate success is not guaranteed. We generate enough money to compete with our ownership. Problem remains we have no football people on the board. And this is a very, very good point. I mean, it's not always about money. You know, Arsenal have more money than us in terms of owners. Wolves have more money than us in terms of owners. Leicester do. A lot of owners in the Premier League have a lot more money than Manchester United. And it is about how you invest that money. But the problem is, you know, if you're a team that doesn't have loads of money, but you've got people at the club with good footballing knowledge, like Brighton or someone, who know what players to invest with, or like Villa, or you've got ambitious owners, then you're fine. But the problem with Man United is maybe one of the reasons we won't be able to compete with them is not a financial side, but it's who we're spending the money on. And the problem that Manchester United has been for a long time, that we don't spend the money on the right players. And now I'm sure these Saudi owners took over Newcastle to make them a big club. You know, if they have the knowledge of the Glazers, then Man United will be absolutely fine. But, you know, the thing is, you can have a lot of money, but you've got to be ambitious owners. And the Glazers are not ambitious owners. They do not know nothing about football. And I think because money-wise, we're fine because we generate a lot. if only we had people in the club that knew football. Because if the people who own the club, if the people in the club knew football, we would have signed a CDM this summer. You know, if anyone believes that we didn't need to sign a CDM this summer, tell me why in the chat. But if the people who ran Manchester United, if the owners of Manchester United actually knew football, we would have signed a Premier League this summer. And all of that. Let me know your thoughts on the Newcastle takeover in the live chat, because we will be talking a lot about that. I have to say though, as jealous as I am, as you know what, if the Saudis took over Man United, I'd be celebrating, I'd be having a party. Are the human rights good? No. Are they CUNTs? Probably yes. But if the Saudis took over Manchester United, I would be gassed, you know. So I'm not going to sit there and go, human rights, blah, 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 because at the end of the day, if they took over Man United, I wouldn't care. It sounds bad, but it is true. So I'm happy for Newcastle, because I think if a club did deserve it, you would probably give it to Newcastle because of Mike Ashley. And unlike City, Newcastle have always been a big, big team. So I think in a sense, you would give it to Newcastle. So I'm happy for Newcastle in terms of the takeover. You know what? Fair. But I don't like it for the Premier League. I don't like it because it's becoming all about money. You know, we need fair play. We need systems implemented, because it feels like the Premier League could be the Super League. You know how we're all complaining about the Super League? You know, the Newcastle owners are abundantly rich. They make Manchester City look poor. They make Manchester City look like a council estate. That's how rich they are. Like, they're that rich that they make City look poor. And I think there needs to be fair play. We don't want it to turn into a Super League all about money. And I think it needs to be managed right. But you have to say, you've got to be happy for Newcastle fans and all of that. It will not be immediate, but eventually Newcastle, with that backing, will likely become a big threat. And Andrew's 100% right. He also said that City and Chelsea were nothing clubs before the billionaires. Same with PSG. And looking at the most successfuls in the league, every club big spenders. And that's the sad problem with football. I think that is the sad problem with football these days, that the biggest spenders do become the most successful club. You know, I think, you know, obviously with United, so I'd be a bit hypocritical going, oh, United, you know, it's not fair, all the money, you know, because we spend a lot of money. But we are in a world where money is dominating football, and there was this uproar about the Super League, but you've got to think, well, Newcastle are going to become the dominant club. You know, I think this affects more than Manchester United. I think this affects the West Hams, the Leicesters, the Villas that want to become a top 6 side, because now they've got one more club to compete with, you know, and I think it makes the league, you know, all about money. And you know that probably in 10 years' time, it is going to be a battle between Newcastle, City and Chelsea. It pains me to say that as a Man United fan, but the future of the league could be a battle between Newcastle, City and Chelsea. So yeah, I think football is coming way too much about money and all of that. If Sheriff played to run with Super League, mistake, 100% agree with Steve there. I am jealous. I'm not going to lie. Like, if the Saudis took over United, I'd be gassed. So of course I'm bloody jealous of Newcastle. Of course I'm jealous. And our coaches see McTominay as a CDM. Well, that sums up our coaches, because, look, I don't actually have anything against Scott McTominay. I'm not going to throw that out there. I quite like Scott McTominay. But one thing about Scott McTominay I can tell you is he ain't a CDM. Scott McTominay as a CDM, guys, is shit. He is absolutely shit as a CDM, Scott McTominay. And I like McTominay. And I think, you know, the fact that our coaches see Scott McTominay as a CDM, and I am actually going to get into this because this was a talking point in my video, and the fact that McKenna, Carrick, who was a bloody CDM, Phelan and Ollie, all plan on moulding Scott McTominay as a CDM and seeing Scott McTominay as a CDM and the successor for MATIC is an absolute joke of what the coaching is at our club. And I think it's an absolute joke that the Glazers have sat there and said, you know what, we're going to give Scott McTominay, the Glazers have sat there and said, we're going to give all these new coaches a new contract, we're going to give Ollie a new contract, we're going to back them all the way. Because if the Glazers actually knew football, and if the Glazers have watched Manchester United this season, I tell you what, I don't think the Glazers have turned their TV screen on once to watch Manchester United. I don't think they've turned on their screen once. But if the Glazers actually watched Manchester United this season, actually watched performances and had football knowledge, they would be like, why is he playing McFred? Why is this manager playing this football? Why do all the coaches believe this player's a CDM? Because if I was Manchester United owner right now, I'd be sacking Ollie, I'd be sacking the coaching staff, and I'd be saying to them, what makes you think that this player's a CDM? Why are you not playing this player? But the Glazers are handing out a new contract to McKenna, they're handing out a new contract to Carrick, they've already given a new contract to Phelan, and, you know, and all these coaches at Manchester United, because the coaches have a say like Ollie does, think that McTominay is a CDM, and that is worrying, because I know Scott McTominay is not a CDM. His best games for Man United is when he drives forward into the box. He scores goals. McTominay is quite good going forward. I think if you put McTominay next to Rice, and McTominay did that Solskjaer kind of role, was more of a box-to-box deep line player, McTominay would probably be a good player. But it absolutely infuriates me, to be fair. Absolutely infuriates me. But yeah, let me know your thoughts down below on the Newcastle situations. That is the main talking point of today's video. And of course, smash a like. Now, Kane says, Alice, Scott McTominay playing in defence for Scotland versus Israel really gives me that fear. Is Scott playing? Let me know the updates on the international games. I just don't care, so I'm not watching any of them. But let me know what's going on in the international games, by the way, if any United players are playing well and all that. McFred might be dropped when Rashford returns. I talked about this in yesterday's live stream. I said, one of the rare positives for me of Rashford coming back, well, there's not rare positive, there's loads of positives of Marcus Rashford coming back. And actually, round of applause to Marcus Rashford, actually, because he became the youngest player to get an honorary degree at the University of Manchester, and he had all like his gowns on and his graduation wear on. Congratulations to Marcus Rashford. What an award, especially at his age. What an award. So fair play to Marcus Rashford, but I think there's so many benefits of Marcus Rashford going out. I said in my last live stream, obviously, Marcus Rashford scored 2 goals versus Blackburn Rovers, was absolutely on fire in the behind closed door friendly versus Blackburn Rovers, 2 goals in 60 minutes, looking sharp, looking good. We know stats-wise, a fully fit Marcus Rashford is absolutely insane. We know how good Marcus Rashford is when fully fit. And, you know, he's got to go on the left-hand side. I do not want to see Marcus on the right. He's a left winger. And I do think, you know, we're a team, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's style of play. You know, we talk about what is Ole's style of play. We talk about it a lot, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's actual style of play is counter-attacking football. It is. And we haven't been that good on the counter-attack this year. If you watch Man United on the attack, I feel like when we're on the break, we're missing that burst of pace. Now, Greenwood's fast, Bruno's fast, Ronaldo's fast. You know, we've got a lot of fast players in the squad, but Ronaldo has that blistering, not Ronaldo, Rashford and Dan James were those 2 players with that blistering pace for Manchester United. Their just pace was a different level. And I think that's something we really, really miss because, you know, we're trying to counter-attack teams, but, you know, and last season we were so effective on the counter-attack. We were so effective on the counter-attack, guys. But I don't think this season Man United haven't been anywhere near as effective on the counter-attack. I think we're wasting it. We're giving it away. We're letting them get back into position more. I don't know if that's something to do with the coaching. But I think we really, really miss Marcus Rashford because Sancho and Martial and Greenwood don't have that blistering pace that Rashford has. And I think we missed that on the counter-attack. And I think not only a fully fit Rashford being an absolutely top player is going to help us, especially with his goals and assist number, not only a fully fit Rashford is going to help us on the counter-attack because of his blistering pace, but also a fully fit Rashford has to play on the left-hand side. So if Rashford has to play on the left-hand side, that means Paul Pogba has to go back in the middle. And that means one of McTominay or Fred has to be dropped. Because if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer would generally bench Paul Pogba, who he's trying to convince to sign a new contract at Manchester United and play McFred, that's not going to happen. The only way Paul Pogba is going to sign a new contract at Manchester United, and he already spoke out yesterday about joining Juventus, and I will get into that. The only way Paul Pogba is going to sign a new contract at Manchester United is if he plays. And if Rashford's on the left, Pogba can't play on the left. He's got to play in the middle. And there's no way in hell Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could bench Pogba to play his tried and trusted McFred. I think when Rashford's back, Ole's got to let go of his McFred obsession. I think Ole should have let go of his McFred obsession last season because I think if he continues to play McFred, he's going to lose his job because this kind of football can't continue 100%. But I just think Rashford been brilliant in the game 2 days ago versus Blackburn, behind closed door friendly, 2 goals in 60 minutes. We knew how good Rashford was before his injury. He definitely dropped off after his injury. His blistering pace, I don't think Man United have been effective on counter-attacks. That's going to help us. But Rashford on the left means Paul Pogba back in the middle. And whether you like Paul Pogba on the left or not, I like Paul Pogba on the left because he's a good player. And he's had some really good games on the left. He got 4 assists versus Leeds on the left. But actually looking at Paul Pogba, looking at the player Paul Pogba is and, you know, all of that, I think that actually Paul Pogba best used in the middle. If you look at Paul Pogba for France, he plays in the middle. And if you look at Paul Pogba, when he plays for France in the middle, is the best midfielder in the world. For me, Paul Pogba on his day, France, Paul Pogba in the middle for France, best midfielder in the world. Why can't Paul Pogba be the best midfielder in the world in the pivot of Manchester United? Maybe because McTominay and Fred has to play with dragging down. Maybe because they have a top player next to him. But you know what? Pogba's best performance as Man United has come when he's played next to MATIC. I think to get the best out of Paul Pogba, we would need to sign a TCHOUMENI. We'd need to sign a Kessie. Now, Pogba actually spoke up and he always bigs up TCHOUMENI. Pogba plays with TCHOUMENI for France, always bigs up the lad. Why don't United go sign TCHOUMENI or Kessie, play them with Pogba, get rid of McFred? And I will be talking about it because we are linked to Kessie, and Kessie actually came out and said 2 years ago that he'd love to join Manchester United, he'd love to come to the Premier League. He's obviously not going to sign a new deal at AC Milan, meaning that AC Milan will sell Kessie for 25 million in January, and he said his ideal club would be United in the Premier League, We need a player in that position. Kessie likes us, going to be sold, cheap player we need. Maybe that can happen, especially if Donny goes, especially if Pogba goes, with very, very high chances of Kessie going to Manchester United. But back to my point, Paul Pogba for France in the midfield, best player in the world. You should not argue me on that. France, Paul Pogba, best midfielder in the world, on his day. Not all the time, but on his day. We need that France midfielder, Paul Pogba, in the middle for Man United. We don't need him on the left. We've got Rashford on the left, we've got Sancho on the left, we've got Martial on the left. We've got enough players that can play on the left that are good. We've got enough players that can play on the right. We've got enough attackers that are good. It's the midfield. McFred don't work. Rashford coming back means Pogba back in the middle. Pogba and Matic, that's what we got to do. For me, it has to be Pogba and Matic, or Matic and Donny if you want to rest Pogba. Or even, I've said this before and I'll say it again, I would love to see Matic, Donny, Pogba. If we ever need to rest Bruno, if there's an injury to Bruno, because I think you can't drop Bruno unless he needs a rest or injury because he's Bruno. But if anything ever happened to Bruno, Matic, Donny, Pogba. 4-3-3, not a 4-2-3-1 for Cam. Both Donny and Pogba will be box to boxes with Matic. Because United, there was a lot of talk in summer that Manchester United wanted to play a 4-3-3. Lots and lots of talk in summer that OLE and Solskjaer wants to play a 4-3-3 with Manchester United. And I think one of the reasons we don't have a 4-3-3 is because we don't have that one holding player. OLE has to play two holding players because McTominay can't hold, Fred can't hold. Matic can hold, but has he got the legs? We know that Man United long-term plan is to play a 4-3-3. So why don't we go, you know what, we've overplayed Bruno, let's give Bruno rest, and try Matic, Donny, Pogba. Because when we did Matic, Herrera, Pogba, the best football we ever played on Ole Solskjaer was Matic, Herrera, Pogba 4-3-3. Get Donny to do that Herrera role when he's bulked up. I believe Donny can. I think Donny could do a better job than McTominay and Fred in that Herrera role, defensively and obviously offensively, because defensively, all the stats suggest that McFred aren't even that good, you know. Man United have gone 9 home games without a clean sheet. We use McFred for defensive protection. McFred have won the least percentage of their duels in the Premier League in terms of defensive players. Not good. I would say Pogba, Donny, Matic, you could maybe get the best out of Paul Pogba there, guys. We could maybe start seeing Man United get the best out of Paul Pogba, because I think the disappointing thing about Paul Pogba is Manchester United definitely have not got the best out of Paul Pogba and all of that. Yeah. Pogba played as a CDM with Rabiot in a 3-5-2 formation. Exactly. Pogba can play in the pivot. And Pogba is absolutely world-class whenever he plays for France in the pivot. So why can't Paul Pogba be world-class for Manchester United in the pivot? You know, if he can do it for France, why can't he do it for Manchester United? And surely it has to be coaching. Surely it has to be coaching or who he's playing with in the pivot. I think top coach, top CDM, Paul Pogba in the middle, you're going to get the best out of him. And when Paul Pogba's been world-class, he's played with Matic next to him. So, yeah, I don't think it's... I silly thought. What I am going to talk about quickly is the Ballon d'Or nominees, by the way, guys. Bruno Fernandes and Ronaldo have been nominated for the Ballon d'Or. Do I think Bruno or Ronaldo will win it? Possibly Ronaldo. For me, I think it will go to Lewandowski. I think the Ballon d'Or will 100% go to Lewandowski. Let me know in the chat, actually, who do you think deserves to win a Ballon d'Or? But one thing I looked at this, and I go, what? Cesar Azpilicueta's in it, but Luke Shaw isn't. The best fullback in the world in 2020 has been Luke Shaw. It has been Luke Shaw. Not Cesar Azpilicueta. He barely played for Chelsea. He just won a Champions League. I think this top 30 list is not very good, is it? It's not really. Phil Foden, Mason Mount. All right, they're good players, but are they Ballon d'Or nominees? Probably not. But congrats to Ronaldo, who also won Premier League Player of the Month. And do you know what I love about Ronaldo winning Premier League Player of the Month? Is Liverpool fans are rattled that it wasn't even to Salah. Did Salah probably deserve it? Yes. But am I guessed that Ronaldo got Player of the Month? Yes, because it absolutely rattles the rival fans. All the Ronaldo haters absolutely rattles. I'd rather take the Rashford obsession. I love him as well as Matic, Pogba, Bruno. Tara says, but now France plays 3 midfielders, so Pogba alone can't do anything. I just think that Man United don't get the best out of Paul Pogba. He's not a left mid. Rashford's a left mid. Paul Pogba needs to be playing in the pivot for Manchester United. And actually, to get the best out of Paul Pogba, we need to play 3 in midfield. We need to play a 4-3-3 with Matic holding and Pogba and someone else. For me, you know, Pogba, Bruno. I mean, look, the best football we played under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as permanent manager was Matic, Pogba, Bruno. You know, we were playing good football with Matic, Pogba, Bruno. All of a sudden, Man United start playing bad football. Oh, why? Because we play McFred, for me. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's in the chat. Ole, resign. Stop playing McFred. No, I'm joking. I know that's not actually Ole. And John Harvey says a 4-3-3 would remove all our CDM problems, as there wouldn't be any. Honestly, I 100% agree with that, by the way. Guys, smash a like on the video if you have not already, and please do go ahead and subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're not subscribed to the channel. We've got lots and lots to talk about in today's show. Of course, talking a lot about the Saudi takeover, the Newcastle Saudi takeover, as well as lots of other gossip and news. So make sure you smash a like on the video, subscribe if you're new, share the content and all of that. Let me know your ideal midfield for Manchester United. But what the news coming back is, in terms of the Leicester game, Marcus Rashford will be back for Leicester versus Manchester United, which is in a week's time. This time next week, we'll be doing the Leicester preview, Man U versus Leicester preview, and Marcus Rashford will be back for Leicester versus Manchester United, and Fred will be out. So no Fred and Cavani next week, but Rashford returns. So Fred out, Rashford in. I think that's a pretty good trade, to be fair. Will Donny get a chance versus Leicester as well? And Robert said, Alice, drink some water. Okay. Water has been drunk and that. But let me know your thoughts on the Newcastle takeover as well, because I want to get into one of the talking points of today's video, guys, and that is why the Newcastle takeover is actually a bad thing for Manchester United, and why Manchester United could be potentially screwed long term. And I don't want to be the bearer of negativity, the bearer of bad news, because you know what? I could be wrong with my prediction. But this is what I'm going to say, and I'll go back to the point. Donny is leaving Manchester United. Will we get Kessie in January and Donny leaves? We don't know. Possibly, but it's Manchester United, so be prepared to be disappointed. Pogba, very, very likely to leave in the summer. Came out yesterday, spoke about wanting to go to Juventus. Paul Pogba looks pretty much bound to leave Manchester United in the summer. Matic is surely going to retire in the summer unless we offer him another one-year contract like we've done for the last 3 years. Jesse Lingard will go if he doesn't get game time. Martial will go, and Cavani will go. United are going to lose 6 key players in the summer. 6 key players. So we're not only looking at Haaland, but we've also got to look at the midfielders to replace Donny, the midfielders to replace Pogba, the midfielders to replace Matic. You know, we haven't signed a midfielder since Fred. We spent 50 million on Fred. You think a board that spent 50 million on Fred and neglected the midfield role for the last 2 years can capably sign a replacement for Pogba, Donny, and Matic? No. Our owners, I just think, are absolutely going to screw us over. If I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm worried about owners. I think they're going to screw us over. I can't see. I hate to say this, but with Paul Pogba going and Donny going, I can't see them being replaced properly. I could see us next season, and I don't want to be negative, but I could see us next season with McTominay, Fred, Declan Rice, and Haaland, maybe. Which Declan Rice and Haaland, good summer window. But you look at the midfield and you've got McTominay, Fred, and Declan Rice as your only midfield options. How boring would that be? If Donny goes, if Pogba goes, and if Matic retires, you've got to get 3 midfielders in the summer. And the Glazers won't. And next year, Newcastle will be stronger. And every year, Newcastle will be stronger and stronger. And every year, we'll be rebuilding and rebuilding and rebuilding. And every year that we don't win a trophy, or every year we're not challenged for the title, our world-class players will leave. And they'll go to the likes of Newcastle. They'll go to the likes of Chelsea. Newcastle's another team to compete with an A, getting top players to the club and the players we want. You know, Newcastle can throw more money at players now. So, you know, say we want Declan Rice, but Newcastle offer him double the wages, it'll go to Newcastle. You know, if we don't win the Premier League in the next 3 years, we've got the Newcastle supergiants to compete with, as well as Manchester City and Liverpool and Chelsea. You know, if we can't compete with Manchester City, Chelsea, and Liverpool now, how are we going to compete when a 4th team, Newcastle, is thrown into the mix? When Villa gets stronger, when Leicester gets stronger, you know, if Arsenal actually redeem themselves, you know, the future of Arsenal, as all the Arsenal fans, all the Arsenal fans think they've got a massive future and they're going to be challenging. I look at this from a Man United perspective, and I'm worried for the future, guys. I think the Newcastle takeover generally could mean Newcastle win the Premier League before Manchester United. I think if we don't win the Premier League this season, and if we continue to play Fred, and if Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is still Manchester United player by the end of the season, I don't think we'll win a title before Newcastle, which is a bold statement. But Ole's never going to drop Fred. Whether you like it or not, Ole's never going to give Donny a chance or drop Fred, because if Ole was ever going to drop Fred, he would have dropped them by now. The fact that Fred and McTominay can put in stinker after stinker after stinker, bad performance after bad performance after bad performance for Manchester United. The fact that McTominay and Fred can be so poor, but yet they're going to be picked week in, week out, means that the only way they get dropped is if they're injured, so they don't even get dropped. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, if he's Man United manager, is to continue playing Fred because he's stubborn. You know, we used to say, why is Lindelof always playing over Bailly when Bailly's better? But it never changed because Ole likes Lindelof. Ole has his favourites, they're always going to play. As long as Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is Manchester United manager, it's going to be Fred unless they're injured, unless they're out, unless they can't play. And as long as it's McFred, it means that Donny's going, it means that Pogba's going, and it means that MATIC is going to go and he'll retire. And if you lose Pogba, Donny, and MATIC in 2022, fuck Haaland, forget Haaland, you need 3 midfielders. But what are the Glazers going to do? We could lose 3 midfielders in 2022, but the Glazers would rock. I tell you this now, even if we lose Pogba and Donny, the Glazers will be more focused on signing Haaland than a replacement for Pogba and Donny. Do you know why? Because if you sign Haaland, that's a big name, that's shirt sales, that's social media clicks, that's PR, that's attention. You know, if we sign TCHOUMENI would be a better signing right now for Manchester United than Erling Haaland. I say this with confidence. Right now, TCHOUMENI would be better for Manchester United than Erling Haaland. But if we sign TCHOUMENI, that doesn't get anywhere near as much attention as Haaland would. Doesn't get anywhere near the sponsors, the revenue made, the shirt sales. So we could lose 3 midfielders, and I still guarantee Haaland's going to be first choice come summer, even though we need a CDM massively. And I generally could see us going all out for Haaland, probably losing Haaland to Manchester City. I feel like we could sign Haaland, but if we have a poor season, we won't sign Haaland. And I think, although Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has a relationship with Haaland, and maybe the Glazers' overriding motivation for keeping Ole at the club is because they think he can get Haaland, I just think if Ole's manager, he's going to continue to play McFred. If McFred continue to play, that means we're going to drop points. We're going to be playing bad. We're going to be scoring less goals. If McFred continue to play, it means Pogba's going to leave. It means Donny's going to leave. It means Matic is going to leave. If we continue McFred, all those players are going to leave. We need a load of midfielders. If we don't finish in the top 4 this season, absolute disgrace. Ole will be sacked. But if we don't finish in the top 4, we can forget looking at Haaland anyway. We need to be focusing on the now. And one of my main talking points of this video is I think Manchester United need to win a trophy this season. We need to win a trophy this season. It pains me to say that I don't think we're going to win the Premier League or Champions League, but I think we should. I think we have the squad that is capable of winning the Premier League or Champions League, but we don't have the manager or the coaches capable of winning the Premier League or Champions League. And if you agree with me, let me know down below. I actually am really intrigued to know your thoughts, guys. Are you Ole in or Ole out? Let me know down below in the chat. But the reason I think we need to win the Premier League this season is because I think with Newcastle becoming a Premier League challenger in the next 5 years, Newcastle are going to be up there as a top 4 team. Realistically, in the next 5 years, Newcastle are going to be up there as a top 4 team. That's one more team to compete with. And that's making it harder. You know, we already have to compete with Liverpool, Chelsea, and City. We're now going to have to compete with Newcastle. And I worry that we could be the Blackburn or the Liverpool, that we go 20, 30 years without a Premier League, that Newcastle will be winning Premier Leagues before us, that Manchester City will overtake our Premier League, that thing. I really want us to win the Premier League this season because I think with this Newcastle takeover long term, it's really going to affect Manchester United. Look, I'm happy for Newcastle fans. I'm fucking jealous. Of course I am. But I just think long term, this is going to fuck United over because the Glazers will either have to invest or they're screwed. They have to invest or they're screwed because we're going to be looking at competing with Liverpool for top 4. And we already can't compete with Liverpool now. Imagine we just got to bat out with Liverpool to get fourth. And we, you know, Liverpool already. I am literally long term. The Glazers are going to have to take some money out of their pocket or invest or leave Manchester United because I think as long as we're under Glazer ownership for the next so years, we're not gonna succeed. This is our best squad we've had in 10 years since Sir Alex Ferguson's left under Glazer ownerships, and it doesn't look like succeeding anything because of the manager, because of the coaching staff. Yet the owners, even though this squad that should be succeeding stuff isn't succeeding, yet the owners are going to give him Mike Phelan a new contract. They're going to give McKenna a new contract. They're going to give Carrick a new contract. This Man United side should be achieving stuff, but looking at how they started the season, this Man United side ain't going to achieve shit. But yet our owners are so incompetent, even though we've got a really hard run ahead and they should probably wait till we get past this hard run to see if they want to give long-term contracts, are giving all the coaches at Manchester United new contracts, even though this is a team that should be winning trophies. But no Man United fan really believes we're going to win the Premier League or the Champions League this season because we've not been convincing. Yet we're giving the staff all new contracts. It's down to the coaches. If this team doesn't win a trophy this season, it's because of the coaching. Yet our owners want to give the coaches freaking contracts and stuff. Absolute disgrace. I mean, but I'm just worried from a Man United perspective that Newcastle probably going to be better than us in a few years. You know, they're going to do what City did, and I think they will be better than us. You know, they'll be the best United in the league. You know, Manchester City have been the best Manchester in the league since Sir Alex left. Newcastle are going to be the best United. We're not even going to be the best Manchester or the best bloody United. Says John Harvey. Do you know what's really is Mbappe? Griezmann was like, Mbappe, you moving to Newcastle now because obviously Newcastle got the money, and Mbappe went, no, it's cold there. So, you know, they can't get Mbappe because he doesn't like the cold. But Jadon Sancho is Ole out. I mean, I think the most of you guys are Ole out. Everyone's saying OLE out. If anyone is OLE in, let me know in the live chat why. I'm OLE out because I don't know how this guy can play McFred week in, week out. I don't know how this guy can play such negative football. Like, I'm not, like, we're at a point where, look, we're only 2 points off winning the Premier League. But the reason I'm OLE out is because of Tuchel and Lampard. My sole reason for being OLE out is Ole's another Lampard. He has a good squad, but he doesn't know how to adapt to the good squad he has. He doesn't know how to manage all the players he has. Ole, I've said this 100 times on the channel. Ole is like Lampard, did a really good job of taking us from point C to point B. Point C being a team that wasn't sure if they were going to get top 4 to making them a top 4 nailed-on team. Lampard took over a poor Chelsea team, got the right players in, played the right players, took them from a team that no one thought they were going to get top 4 when Hazard left and got them top 4. Ole got Manchester United top 4, made us a top 4 team. But like Lampard, for me, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, just like Frank Lampard, is not going to take Manchester United to win trophies. And this is why I think Ole should be sacked, because Frank Lampard was sacked. But when Frank Lampard was sacked, there was still a big enough chunk left in the season for something to be achieved. And Chelsea won a Champions League. If Lampard wasn't sacked, Chelsea wouldn't have won that Champions League. And I think right now we're only 2 points off winning the Premier League. If you sack Ole now and we get an elite manager in with the squad we have, we can challenge for the Premier League. Because I have a feeling that in February time, we're going to be out the title challenge. I have a feeling in February time, United's just going to be out the title race. And that's why, for me, get an elite manager in now. And that is why I'm OLE out. I want to know if anyone is OLE in and why they're OLE in. But for me, it's about, if the manager and the coaches think that we'll play McFred in every game they have to, they'll rotate Ronaldo, they'll rotate Pogba, but they won't rotate McFred. Even though McFred have been consistently bad and they still play them, they can't succeed, because when an elite manager drops players that are not performing. As Owen Hargreaves said last week when we dropped points to Everton, Owen Hargreaves says, if Fred had put these performances in under Sir Alex Ferguson, he wouldn't have played for a month. But Ole's going to start him next game. Obviously, Ole can't start Fred next game because he's on international duty. What a shame. What a shame. Rashford back, Fred out. I'm so devastated, not. But as Owen Hargreaves said, it's an absolute disgrace, because you know that Fred is going to start. Like, Donny van de Beek could play. Donny van de Beek could play versus Leicester. We could beat Leicester 7-0. Donny van de Beek could start, get 3 assists, 2 goals, man of the match, control, dictate the game. And the next game, if Fred's back, he would start over Donny van de Beek. I'm telling you this now. Donny could get 7 assists in one game, and Fred will start over him. Fred could have 1 leg, and he would still start over Donny van de Beek. And that is why I don't back the manager. Saying this right now, watch Newcastle go on a big spending power and sign guys like Haaland, Mbappe, Navas, Bale, Philippe Coutinho of Barca. You've heard it here first. Who do you think Newcastle will sign first? Well, I want to throw this out, by the way. If any of the owners at Newcastle are watching this video right now, if you own Newcastle and you're up the top of Newcastle, I'm a Man United fan. I really recommend you spend 50 million on Fred. If anyone from Newcastle is watching and you need a player to buy, spend 50 million on Fred. It'll be so worth it. He's an amazing player. Newcastle, spend 50 million on Fred and go for Phil Jones. He's won a Premier League. He'll give you that experience of having a Premier League winner in the squad. Anyone from Newcastle watching, sign Fred, sign Phil Jones. You won't regret it. We'll take 80 million for both Fred and Phil Jones. Absolute bargain for you. Just throw that out there. See if we can sell them off. But yeah, a lot of people are OLE out. We've got an OLE in here. OLE out. Everyone's pretty much OLE out. Football is boring and getting average results. The reason I'm OLE out is because the football is boring. Look, if OLE was winning every game and we played shit football, I'd be a bit like, I'd be OLE in. Because at the end of the day, all I want to do is win trophies. I want to see good football. So this is why I don't want to see Conte. This is why I don't want to see Mourinho, because I don't play great football. At the end of the day, all I want more than anything is to win trophies. But I want football to be enjoyable. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not winning trophies, and the football we're playing is not enjoyable. So that's why, for me, it's got to be Ole out. You get great. I watch Brighton play. I watch Brentford play. They play so much better football than Manchester United. It's probably because they have a better midfield. Probably because they know. I'm pretty sure Fred would get Brighton relegated. I think unless you're a top 4 team, Fred gets you relegated. But I think for me, the football we play is crap. When we win, it's not good wins. When we beat West Ham 2-1, were we lucky? Yes. De Gea saved us. When we beat Wolves 1-0, did we deserve it? No. Did we deserve to beat Villarreal? No. None of our wins this season, apart from Leeds' first game of the season, have been convincing. And Leeds are always an anomaly team because Leeds play different to everyone in the Premier League. You cannot judge your Premier League game off Leeds. Leeds play so different to everyone else. Every game we played apart from Leeds, we've been poor. The only game that we were decent post-Leeds was Newcastle. What happened in Newcastle? Neither McTominay or Fred played. Best performance. Our most convincing win had been the one game that neither McTominay or Fred played. Does that speak volumes? Yes, it does. How is our manager, our coaching staff so blind to this, guys? So blind. It absolutely crazes me. The only proper convincing win since Leeds was the one game Fred and McTominay didn't play. Every other game that we've won that Fred and McTominay played, we didn't deserve to win or we struggled. It absolutely blows my mind that the coaching staff can't see this. Newcastle, Leeds are convincing wins. Exactly. And Leeds are an anomaly team because they play different to everyone else. Jaden Sanchez says, Carrick, I don't mind you training with Fred to be CDMs, but get them off the main team squad till they are ready. Get someone like Donny, MATIC, Pogba, for Christ's sake. Agree. Ten Hag would be my ideal manager. He's rumored to go to Barcelona, but I think to be fair, if Man United offered Ten Hag a job and Barcelona offered Ten Hag a job, you choose Man United because he'd either have to completely rebuild this Barcelona team with lack of funds to rebuild them, or take over a Manchester United team that's already good enough to win trophies. So I think that we could easily win the race with Ten Hag there as well. And Alice, what's your thoughts on the Amanda Staveley interview? Did you see what our plans are for Newcastle? I haven't watched it yet, but I am going to watch it. But I'm sure that they're probably going for the Manchester City approach, is what I have heard. It's because the coaches are far from elite and pretty much learning on the job. No elite club operates like that. Yeah. You know, Ollie's obviously the front of Manchester United. Ollie's obviously going to get the stick. Ollie's the man we're going to complain about. But it has to go to the coaching as well. You know, Ollie goes to McKenna, Carrick and Phelan. They're his mates. They have a say in it. You know, McKenna was the reason we got Fred. McKenna scouted Fred. McKenna wanted Fred. The reason we probably play Fred is because he's McKenna's favourite, because McKenna scouted Fred. That's probably the reason we play Fred, you know. And Ollie needs to stop this bro relationship with his coaches. If McKenna loves Fred and he brought Fred and he thinks that Fred should play week in, week out, Ollie, you can't say no to your friend. Ollie's one of those guys, you know. You know what I think about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? He's one of them managers that won't say no. You know when someone can't say no to their friend, you know, their friend bosses them around. I reckon Ollie's like that. All his mates boss him around and Ollie doesn't really get to say anything. Ollie's used to being bossed around by his mates. I generally see it like that. I generally see that Ollie must get bossed around by his mates, because I'm pretty sure McKenna's probably sitting there being like, Ollie, do this. He probably does that. You know what? I know we're saying Ollie out, but I think there's a lot of it on the coaches, because I guarantee you, you know, them coaches would surely those coaches would have said to Ollie, don't play McFred. If 90% of the Man United fan base can see it, surely one of the coaches must see that McFred ain't in the way. Because at the end of the day, Ollie will listen to his coaches. You know, he's not that. Ollie's not brave. Ollie doesn't believe in himself to an extent, because the reason I say Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't always believe in himself and believe in his tactics is because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said in press conferences and interviews that, you know that he doesn't know what to do. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's admitted a few times, you know, he's not sure what to do with the situation. He you know, we're not good at this. We're not good at breaking down teams. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's basically said, well, we're not good enough at this, or we can't do this in interviews. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's exposed himself a lot. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer last season was too scared to make subs, because Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sometimes I feel like doesn't even believe in himself. And if your manager doesn't believe in yourself, they're listening to the coaches a lot. And Pep Guardiola knows what he's doing. I don't think he gets that much advice from his coaches. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer listens to his coaches, and all of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's coaches are basically his mates with no experience. You know, and they'll probably say, play Fred. Fred's the way. Fred's the way. I think this coaching staff needs to be sacked. I think it needs to be sacked off. And it absolutely infuriates me, guys. Absolutely infuriates me that we're giving McKenna, Phelan and Carrick new contracts when all they've done is given us shit football, not convincing wins, and not getting the best out of a team that should be winning trophies. If you're going to give them a contract, they've got to deserve it. And what have the coaches done to deserve a new contract at Manchester United? Nothing. Cool, we got second last season, but you know what? We've got a really difficult fixture list ahead. Why are we giving them a new contract when we've got to play really, really difficult fixtures first? I don't get how we can be giving them a new contract before we play these difficult fixtures, because you'll be giving them a new contract, then all of a sudden we bottle it to Manchester City, Liverpool and all of that, and then you have to sack them. But then you have to sack them, and then you've got to buy them out their contracts. So even financially, it's stupid from the Glazers that normally are way too focused on their finances. But look, as you can see, you know, giving out contracts to Phelan, McKenna, look, at the end of the day, Ollie is at risk of being sacked, despite the Glazers being all backing Ollie, despite the Glazers being that they're backing Ollie, despite the Glazers showing they're backing Ollie by giving Phelan a new 4-year deal. You know, the fact that journalists are saying that Ollie's job is safe means that it's under pressure. The fact that people have to come out and confirm that Ollie's job is safe actually means he's under pressure. And Romano said if stuff doesn't change in a few weeks, Ollie's job could be gone. So you're thinking Leicester, Atalanta, Liverpool, Tottenham, Atalanta, Man City, you know, Villarreal, Chelsea, Arsenal, you know, loads and loads of difficult fixtures. Yeah, Ollie could lose his job after these fixtures, but because whatever manager comes and replace Ollie, I tell you this now: if you get Conte, Zidane, Ten Hag, do you think they're going to keep McKenna, Phelan, and Carrick? No. Do you think they are? No. So if Ollie could be sacked in the next month and a half if he doesn't get good results, why give all his coaches new contracts? Because I guarantee if Zidane comes in, you're not seeing McKenna, you're not seeing Phelan, they're gone. They're gone. So, again, I think it's stupid that we're giving all these coaches new contracts. Let me know your thoughts on situations down in the comments. I will be reading out a few live chats, so let me know your thoughts on the Newcastle takeover. Let me know your thoughts on the international break and all of that. I think the international break's a joke. I hate the international break, guys. I just think international friendlies should be scrapped. I think they should make the international group smaller for qualifiers, so we don't have to watch as many shitty ass games. You know, I just think, you know what, these players already play enough football. Give them a fucking break. International break this, international break that. And also, what really annoys about the international break is it breaks up the Premier League. The Premier League just started 3 games into the Premier League international break. A month later, another international break. A month later, another international break. Before we've played 10 games, we'll have 3 international breaks, guys. 3 international breaks, 10 games into the season. That's 6 weeks out, 10 games into the season. Breaking up the season. I think they need to do something about these international breaks. Absolutely pointless. 1 week to go. We're halfway through the international break, guys, so smash a like for that. But if you hate the international break, hit that like button. We're going for 150 likes by the end of the live stream. I'm not sure how many likes we are on, so I will check that. By the way, guys, if you're watching and you have not already, please do go ahead and subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football. Every like, every sub, every share, it means, I'm just checking my videos to see how many views it's on the space. We're on 93 likes. We need 57 more likes, by the way, guys. So smash that like button if you haven't already. We've got over 140 people watching. If 57 of you smash that like button, that would be very much appreciated. And subscribe if you're new to the channel, because although it's the international break, so my content isn't up to its usual standards because you do scrape the barrel and it's just me blabbing on about pointless stuff. I do match reactions, match previews, and watch-alongs to every Manchester United game. I keep you up to date on all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news. So make sure to subscribe for that, by the way, because when the January transfer window opens, so end of December throughout January, I'll be keeping you up to date with all the latest transfer news. Because if Donny leaves, there's a strong possibility of Manchester United signing Kessie or a midfielder. So I'm not getting too much into transfer news details as of now because I don't feel there's too much need. But come summer, come January, lots of transfer news updates. When the international break's over, content every day, match reactions, match previews, debates, watch along. So do subscribe for that if you're new. We're 30 subscribers away from 19.1k. So do subscribe. We're on the road to 20k, 20,000 subscribers before 2020. Red Devils has just put in the chat that breaking Premier League clubs have called for an emergency meeting following the controversial takeover of Newcastle United. Interesting that. At the end of the day, it's like the Super League. Can they get the Newcastle takeover cancelled? Maybe, but like this is the thing, okay? If this is true, if what you put in the chat is true, could the Newcastle takeover be pulled off? Possibly. Like, could they call it off? Possibly. But the papers are signed. What's done is done with the Newcastle takeover. It's going to happen. When the Super League happened, there was outrage from everyone. No one's that outraged about the Newcastle takeover. So I don't think, even though the Premier League clubs have a meeting about it, I do not think it's the end of the world. As a United fan, the Newcastle takeover isn't good for us because it's just one more person to compete with. And with our owners, you know, we're not going to be able to compete with them because even though we have money as a club, we don't have the football knowledge. So, yeah. At least all the Manchester City fans will go support Newcastle now, I guess. Poor Man City are going to lose half their fan base now. And all of that. And the owners say they're not getting the value for money from the team. 150 million in the summer. And this feels like the Super League. Yeah, in a weird way it does. And WSC says that he's Ole in. As Ole will never be sacked. He will only leave once he retires, which will be in 10-20 years' time. The owners will never sack him as he always finishes in top 4. This is the thing. I think it's physically impossible for this Manchester United side not to finish in the top 4 this season. If you look at this Manchester United side and the quality they have on paper, I generally think it's physically impossible for us not to finish in the top 4. I think it would absolutely be a disaster if we didn't. I think any manager in the world, I think my mum could get this Man United side to finish in the top 4 because of just how good it is on paper. The problem is, if the Glazers continue with that attitude of, all we care about is Champions League revenue, then Ole will never be sacked as long as there's a team like this. It would almost take Manchester United to have an absolutely shit team for the Glazers to finally sack Ole, because you're right in a sense of, you know, if we scrape 4th place and we don't win a trophy this season, Ole should be sacked 100%, because with the squad he has, that's not good enough. But the Glazers will see Champions League revenue, whatever, cool. That's not good enough. Ole should be sacked if he scrapes top 4 and doesn't get a Premier, it doesn't win a trophy. But Ole could have no eyes and no legs and no ears, and this team would still get top 4. So it's like, technically Ole's in an unsackable role, because unlike Abramovich, unlike Sheikh Mansour, our owners don't care about Premier Leagues. Our owners don't care about Champions League. Our owners care about their pockets and the money in their pockets. And ambitious owners would have probably sacked Ole around now. We're giving him a couple more games and he'd be sacked by Christmas. Any ambitious owner would have probably sacked Ole. But with the Glazers, we could have a really disappointing season. But if Ole gets top 4, he could keep his job. Now, I hope, and I'm hoping that if Ole does scrape top 4 and doesn't win a trophy, that the Glazers do sack him. And maybe there have to be protests and put the Glazers under pressure to sack him, because that's not good enough. But I think it's physically impossible for Ole not to get top 4 with this squad. I think it's almost physically impossible. So could Ole, in a weird way, be unsackable? And that is a worrying thing. And all of that. But yeah, no, 100%. Big up Alice. And Andrew says it's funny that the PL has rejected ownership approaches for many reasons, including ethical ones, but let one of the worst regimes out there buy a club. Exactly. Look, EPL are hypocrites. The sad thing about football is it is all about money these days. At the end of the day, you know, all these organisations could care. They can say they care about human rights. They can care. They can say they care. But at the end of the day, majority of people high up in these organisations, UEFA, FIFA, it's all about money. Manchester City broke financial fair play, but they probably bribed UEFA, so they never got that Champions League ban. You know, you can break the rules, but then if you bribe UEFA, you never get banned. And Florentino Perez calling Newcastle owners to make a Super League. Are they actually? It wouldn't surprise me. And Diego says only 48 likes needed for 150 likes, so please do subscribe to Alice Talks. Please do subscribe to the channel down below if you're not already. We're only 48 likes away from 150 likes, so that would be very, very much appreciated. Actually, I do want to get Chosen 11 up on my screen. I want to get something up on my screen, guys. Okay. We're going to talk about Man United Leicester. We're going to talk about Man United Leicester because Thread is out and Rashford is back. And my video tomorrow, now I've pre-recorded a video actually. I pre-recorded a video about how Ronaldo and Cavani could work together. I've pre-recorded a video that might come out tomorrow if I can get it edited. I've got to do some uni work after this live stream, and then if I can edit that video, there will be a video out tomorrow about how Cavani and Ronaldo can play together. Which would be cool. But I'm looking at this lineup. We're thinking of the Leicester game. In a week's time, I'll be doing my match preview to Manchester United Leicester. And for the Leicester game, Rashford is back and Fred is out and Cavani's out. So how did Man United line up versus Leicester? I want to know down below. So let me know in the chat. Would you start Fred to Newcastle? Newcastle, go by Fred. Would you start Rashford versus Leicester, or do you think it's too early to start him? He's only had that one game versus Blackburn in midweek. You know, he played 60 minutes versus Blackburn in midweek. Rashford, he scored 2 goals. Brilliant. Is it too early to start Marcus Rashford? Would you start Rashford in this game? Because the thing about Ole is with his favourite players, like with Rashford, with McTominay, with Maguire, as soon as they can play, Ole will start them. You know, he won't ease them in. Would it be too early to play Rashford? Because with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, you know Rashford will probably start versus Leicester. But would you start Rashford? Because personally, I wouldn't start Rashford. I'd leave him on the bench. I'd leave Marcus Rashford on the bench, and I'd put him on as an impact sub. I would start Sancho, I would start Greenwood, and I would start Ronaldo as my front three. Even though Martial scored, you know, we want to get Sancho in form, because when Rashford's back, that is one more player for Sancho to compete with, and Sancho could just become a bench player, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer could make Sancho his next Van der Beek. Because the thing about Sancho is he always starts season slow, so I think we need, even with Rashford back, we need to make sure we play Sancho. Even with Martial scoring, even with Greenwood in form, we need to make sure we're playing Sancho, because he's a 21-year-old and he just needs a run of games. Would you start Rashford? Personally, I wouldn't. I think he needs to come off the bench, but I'm intrigued to know. But what I did want to show you is the absolute depth in this. Because I'm going to do this Greenwood. Like, there's 3. I'm going to show you this. We've got 4 options for striker, yeah. We've got 4 options for striker. Look at that. I'm just trying to show you. Ahmad, Sancho. Okay, you know, I don't think Rashford's a right winger. I don't want to see Rashford on the right wing. Again, here, obviously, I think Rashford would be first choice left wing over Sancho. Rashford, Martial, Pogba. Like, that's what I mean. Look at the absolute strength and depth in that Manchester United attack. Like, look at that. Mad. And I think one thing we've got to do this season is all these players want regular game time. All these players want regular game time. So we've got to think about how can we rotate them. How can we rotate them as well? But I wanted to show you what I actually did want to see. I would like to see, I think this could get the best out of Paul Pogba. We were talking about earlier in the stream how to get the best out of Paul Pogba. Now, I love Bruno Fernandes. I'd never drop Bruno. I'm just saying we need to rest Bruno if Bruno's injured. I think this system could really easily get the best out of Paul Pogba. What's your thoughts on that? I've said it before, I said it again. I think this system could easily get the best out of Paul Pogba. His favourite formation 4-1-3-2. I see Matic and McTominay. I know McTominay could work as a box-to-box with Matic next to him. Unpopular opinion. And Rashford belted 2 goals in a behind closed door match literally 2 days ago. Yeah, played 60 minutes, scored 2 goals. Obviously, it was Blackburn. Obviously, it was behind closed doors. But it's always good to know that Marcus Rashford is being effective, scoring goals. And I've said it before, I said it again. A fully fit Marcus Rashford, guys, is absolutely devastating. I think a lot of people forget how good a fully fit Marcus Rashford is. Like, fully fit Marcus Rashford, guys, is an absolutely freaking insane player. I mean, his numbers. I mean, it's not all about stats, but in January 2020. In January 2021, Marcus Rashford had a better goals and non-penalty goals and assist ratio than Lionel Messi in January 2021. I'll show you Marcus Rashford's stats. Guys. But he's an absolute insane. People forget how good Marcus Rashford is. Obviously, this season he hasn't played. This is overall stats. But let's look at, this is when Rashford was fully fit for the first 7 months of this season, yeah? Okay? 22 goals and 12 assists in 3,400 games. That's 34 goal contributions in 3,400 minutes. So that's 34 goal contributions in 3,400 minutes, which is a goal contribution every 100 minutes. So nearly a goal contribution a game. Marcus Rashford was getting nearly a goal contribution a game when fully fit. And we're adding a fully fit Marcus Rashford to an attack with Sancho, Greenwood, Ronaldo, Cavani, Martial, Amad Diallo, Lingard, Bruno, Pogba. Absolutely insane. Back on the Newcastle subject, Alex, can you see him sticking with Steve Bruce? No. I think they'll probably give Steve Bruce to Christmas time. I don't think he's going to get sacked like that, but I can't see them sticking with Steve Bruce. I think he'll be sacked probably January. I think obviously now they won't let Newcastle get relegated, and I think it'd be hilarious if Newcastle got relegated, guys. I think it'll be absolutely hilarious now. But I think in January you're going to see things happen to Newcastle because obviously they could potentially get relegated the way they go, and I don't think Bruce will be here this time next year. I think anyone would put money on Brucey not being here this time next year. I think what Newcastle will do though, as I think I could see them going for a Graham Potter or someone. They could maybe get Conte, but I could really see Newcastle trying to do the kind of the Man City's Leicester kind of approach where they go for a Graham Potter or Brendan Rodgers, because you never know. Leicester actually haven't started this season great. A lot of people haven't really noticed this, but Leicester aren't playing well at the moment, and Brendan Rodgers could potentially be sacked. I don't know. I could see them going for a Brendan Rodgers. I could see them going for players like Basuma. Actually, Basuma's in prison, isn't he? I could see them going for Brendan Rodgers, a Ruben Neves, like those kind of players, and making them a good club. And then building up to become an elite club. So I think it will take 5 years for Newcastle to compete, but I could see the types of Ruben Neves, the types of Brendan Rodgers, those type of players go into Manchester City. If you want, not Manchester City, Newcastle. I could see them going for Bukayo Saka as well. I think he want to leave. I think Bukayo Saka's got a big future. I could see him leaving Arsenal in the next few years. I generally think he's a player that, as much as he loves Arsenal, he wants to win trophies. He wants to win big trophies if he's going to reach his potential as well. I could see him going to Newcastle. Definitely sort of players. Haaland should win for me. Will Man United sign Haaland? We'll talk about that more. Transfer window is Basuma is with Mendy at the moment and Sigurdsson. It's like prison. The Premier League's just become a new bloody prison these days. And sentimentality out the window. Get Pochettino or Ten Hag now. I get Ten Hag because Pochettino is looking a little bit like Ole at PSG. Got all these good players, but PSG. I think you're a team of individual brilliance. I haven't been that convinced by PSG. I won't lie to you. I haven't been that convinced by PSG. Brentford start the season good. They did. Alice, who do you think deserves to win the Ballon d'Or? Actually, yeah, this was a talking point of today's video that I waffled before. Guys, I want to know down below. Everyone comment that's watching. Everyone comment that watching. Who deserves to win the Ballon d'Or, guys? Who deserves to win the Ballon d'Or? Lionel Messi, Ronaldo, Haaland. For me, Lewandowski. I would give the Ballon d'Or to Lewandowski right now. Because one, he deserved to win it last year when it was called off. 100% Lewandowski should have won it last year when it was called off. He broke the Bundesliga record of most goals. He's been absolutely insane. He needs to be rewarded for it. He won a Champions League. He should have won it last year. He's been insane the last year. I'd give it to Lewandowski because Messi isn't doing great at PSG right now. And I think if Messi still doesn't get a goal soon, I think Messi will be good for PSG. But I think Lewandowski deserves it. Will it probably go to Messi? Yes. Could it go to Jorginho? I don't know. For me, I'd give it to Lewandowski. I mean, if in an ideal world, Bruno would win it. Bruno doesn't deserve to win the Ballon d'Or, but I'd love Bruno to win it just to see the anger of rival fans on Twitter. I think Bruno winning the Ballon d'Or would rattle the football world more than anything else. I think Bruno winning the Ballon d'Or would rattle the football world. So I'd love Bruno to win it. But in terms of who deserves it, for me, I think Lewandowski deserves it because he should have won it last year when it was called off. And I still think he's been the best. He broke that Bundesliga record. But interesting to see people say Messi or Lewandowski. I think most people say Lewandowski. You know, you got a few Ronaldos and Messi, but I say most Lewandowski. But yeah, definitely. Guys, smash a like on the video, by the way, if you have not already. And of course, subscribe down below to Alice Talks Football if you're new to the channel. We're in the international break, so there's live streams every other evening at the moment because I just don't think there's enough for me to talk about in the international break to go live every night. But if you want to stay up to date with all the latest Manchester United news and transfer news, make sure you're subscribed down below. There will be transfer shows coming up once we're more into the transfer windows. But what I do on the channel, if you're new, if you're watching right now and you're not subscribed, I do pretty much daily Manchester United content. So I keep you up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, transfers and all that, by the way, on the channel. I do watch-alongs to every Manchester United game. I do match reactions. I do match previews. I update you. I do debates, talking points. Occasionally, I get guests on the channel as well. So do subscribe if that's things like your stuff, if you're a Man United fan, or if you're just a non-Man United fan that's interested in the United world and what's going on. Do subscribe down below to the channel, as every sub means a lot. I'm going to end the stream in the next 5 minutes, by the way, guys. So keep smashing some questions in. And okay, Slater, so I think Greenwood isn't built to service Ronaldo, but Donny there helping Wan-Bissaka may also support Ronaldo. I agree. Greenwood's a striker. You know, he's not there to provide service. He's there to replace Ronaldo in 2 years when he leaves. When he's ready. I think Greenwood will be ready by the time Ronaldo leaves for sure. I mean, look how good he is now. I think, you know, Sancho, I think an informed Sancho on the right wing and a Marcus Rashford on the left wing are the two wingers that would perfectly supplement Ronaldo. If you want my honest opinion, for me, they will. Andrew77 says he'd play Matic, Pogba, Bruno, and even probably two attacking. I would try Pogba, Bruno, Donny. I would love to see Pogba, Bruno, Donny tried out. I know they're not out-and-out CDMs, but this is the thing. We play Fred and McTominay in the pivot when they're both box-to-box players. So why don't we play Donny and Pogba in the pivot when they're both box-to-box players? Because from what I've seen of Donny van de Beek, he can do a better defensive job than Fred, and he can do a better defensive job than McTominay. So I'd really like to see that, to be fair. I'm not going to lie. And Joe says we go trophyless this season. Ronaldo leaves prematurely, possibly. You know, we could be looking at not just Cavani leaving, not just Martial leaving, but Ronaldo leaving, Matic, Donny, Lingard, and Pogba leaving. 7 key players, and then we're like back to square one. This rebuild was for nothing. All right, we've got a good back four now, but you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. And Arsenal fans, including AFTV, are rubbing their hands, saying they will finish above United, and saying Arteta has won more than OLE. So deluded they beats, but honestly, Arsenal are sitting in 11th place right now, and they're still giving this all on Twitter. If Man United were sitting in 11th place right now, I would not be bantering anyone on football Twitter. The one thing I don't get about Arsenal fans is they'll win a game and they'll think they're the shit after one win, but it's like you're still sitting in 11th place. You're not even in the top half of the table. And they give so much mouth. I mean, this one Arsenal fan on Twitter said, who's the face of the Premier League? Messi's the face of League 1. You know, blah, blah, blah is the face of the Serie A. You know, La Liga, what's it called? Modric is the face of La Liga. Benzema's the face of La Liga. Lewandowski's the face of the Bundesliga. This Arsenal fan was trying to say that, you know, Ronaldo wasn't the face of the Premier League. I'm like, no offense, but Ronaldo's bigger than every other player in football in terms of social media following and shirt sales. I was thinking, what? But no, I don't get Arsenal fans. They're sitting in 11th place right now. 11th place. And they're giving this all that. Because Arteta's won 3 games, he's now better than OLE. He's clear of OLE. The whole Arsenal squad's better than Man United. It's like, the thing about Arsenal fans is it's like, they're like kids. They'll win 3 games and Man United won't look good in those 3 games. And I think because they'll go over a 3-game period and say they're better than Man United. But it's like, Arsenal were above Man United 7 games into last season. Arsenal were above Man United 7 games into last season. And they were mouthing off saying we're going to finish 10th. They'll get top 4. Look what happened at the end of the season. Arsenal scraped 8th. We comfortably got 2nd. you know, one thing about Arsenal fans is they mouth off after 2 or 3 games. They'll sit in 11th and mouth off. United fans will sit quiet and wait till the end of the season, you know, or wait for, you know, you can't mouth off to at least halfway through the season. You know, if we were sitting top of the league right now, would I be saying we're going to win the league? No, I'd still be going realistically. No, but Arsenal fans, they're very, very deluded. I respect their what's the word? You know, their positivity. But I generally seen an Arsenal fan on Twitter called it Dowd or something, really, really deluded. I think he just does it for views, though. I've seen an Arsenal fan on Twitter called Dowd, on TikTok called Dowd, and he generally thinks Arsenal are going to win the league this season. He's going, yeah, we started bad, but look at Arteta, look what we did to Spurs, we're going to win the league, we're 5 points off the league. And this Arsenal fan is generally saying that he believes Arsenal are going to win the league. And a lot of Arsenal fans believe they're going to finish above Manchester United. Yes, Ole's playing bad. Yes, Man United aren't looking great. Yes, Arsenal won a few games. But there's no way that Arsenal will finish above this Manchester United squad unless an absolute disaster class happens from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And I'm Ole out, and I don't rate Ole, but would Ole have a disaster class that bad? I'm not 100% sure. I think it's near impossible. Near impossible. Andrew77 says, Ole plays Scott and Fred for supposed defensive stability, but they're both rubbish defensively. Yeah. 9 home games without a clean sheet. The least percentage of aerial duels won for defensive midfielders in the Premier League. You know, absolute joke. And Rashford ain't a good dribbler like Bruno, so it always happens to him cutting inside and shooting from there. Just clumsy. I see Arsenal finishing above United. Definitely a troll comment. Definitely a troll comment. Arteta got manager of the month. Awkward. We'll jinx it now. I could see that jinxing. The funny thing is I've never seen a manager sit in 11th place with a team that should be in the top 4 and get a manager of the month award. I've never seen that happen. I've never seen that happen. Andrew says he hopes Rashford finds consistency with his fitness and time away. He's a big impact, but often up and down from White. One thing I like about Marcus Rashford is he's a big game player. You can say what you like, but no one can ever say Marcus Rashford's not a big game player. He scored in the Manchester derby. He scored versus Liverpool. He scored versus Chelsea multiple times. Man United, Rashford is back in time for the big games. We had no big games while Marcus Rashford was out. And Marcus Rashford is the big player. Marcus Rashford is a big game player. He's a massive big game player. And he's back at the right time. Because you need Marcus Rashford when you play City, Liverpool, Spurs. Because in big games, that's when you see Rashford hit it off. He's a big game player. And I think he's come back at the right time. And I think we're almost lucky that all our big games are now not the first 7 games of the season. Because you've got Rashford and Ronaldo, who, you know, Ronaldo is the best big game player in football. He's done it on the biggest stage. But you have to say Rashford has always been a brilliant big game player. He tore Trent apart. He scores a lot versus Liverpool. He scores a lot versus Chelsea. He scores a lot versus City. When it's a big game, Marcus Rashford, if he gets the service, he's in the mood. And him being back for all these tough fixtures we have ahead, I think, absolutely perfect time. So I do think that Marcus Rashford has 100% come back at the right time, the best time possibly for him as well. I just hope Ole doesn't rush him back, because with Ole's favourites, he does love to rush him back. And I really hope that Ole doesn't rush Rashford back too much, doesn't overplay him too much, because I think that would be my biggest concern from a Manchester United perspective as well. And only 33 likes needed for 150 likes, by the way, guys. So everybody's still watching, please do go ahead and smash that like button. We need 33 likes for 150 likes. We've got 100 people watching. I'm sure a third of you haven't already hit that like button. So if you have not hit that like button, please do go ahead and smash that like button as well. Thank you, everybody, for watching today's live stream. I am going to wrap up the live stream now, but I saw a lot of great comments in the live chat. I'm really sorry that I couldn't get through and read out as many live chats as I thought I could, but I saw so many good comments in the live chat that I wanted to read out, and so many good points, especially talking about the Newcastle takeover. A lot of people early in the chat. So thank you, everyone, for getting involved in the live chat. If I didn't read out one of your questions in the live chat, just make sure to subscribe and notifications on, because tomorrow I will be live Sunday now. I'm going to be live Sunday now, and I'll read out a lot of live chats on my live on Sunday night. So any questions you have for me, just put them in Sunday night's live stream. I'll try and get through them. I'll try and read out as many as possible. Smash a like on the video, by the way. If you're not subscribed to Alice Talks Football, please do go ahead and subscribe. Live every other night throughout the international break, keeping you up to date with all the latest Manchester United news, and then match reactions, match previews, and watch alongs to all the Manchester United games once the international break is over. So smash a like, smash a subscribe, smash a share. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. See you next time. See you Sunday night.